Welcome to this video. I know we haven't posted any new video on this channel, but we will post a lot of real estate exam preparation video on this channel moving forward, end of this year and then beginning of next year. So this video is about the Texas real estate exam, also known as the Texas Salesperson examination and Texas broker examination. In the state of Texas, they also call that sales agent. And of course, this video is sponsored and brought to you by California Real Estate License School.com, because without them we cannot survive without the sponsor, and YouTube doesn't pay anything anymore for advertising or anything on this platform. So we thank, of course, our sponsor, and they do have now you're telling me this is a California school, but they do provide Texas real estate exam prep material with more than 1,000, there's thousands, I don't know how, there are more than 1,000 practice questions, everything you can, you need to know, all the key points and every, the most important concept to know for the Texas real estate exam. And we're going to get into details of that exam in a minute in this video, and I'm going to give you some tips, and we even go over a few questions. But definitely check out our sponsor's website and also sign up for the Texas real estate exam prep. Is going to get you ready for the exam, for the national portion and for the state specific portion. Now, if you go to the TREC's website, which is the official website for the commission, the Real Estate Commission of Texas, they will tell you the qualification. You need to be 18 and older, and they give you all the education requirements. Now, your application, of course, is going to be a fingerprint background check, and also the exam is provided by Pearson VUE. Pearson VUE, it's they have exam center. Most of their exams, I think all of them, are like computer-based exam and testing, and they're really famous. A lot of people that are doing nursing, or they doing certain insurance licensing, or it doesn't matter. There's just a lot of industries now. They use Pearson VUE for their proctor testing, and their centers usually are very sophisticated. They have cameras and audio recording everywhere. So make sure you just use common sense. Don't bring your cell phone, or if they give you a locker room, put your cell phone there. And they're really careful with electronics. They check your IDs, so have your driver license or passport or any accepted ID with you, and don't bring friends and and your kids and everything, because they're not going to let you at these Pearson VUE exam centers. So now let's jump into the exam itself. Now you have also the broker and the sales agent, also known as salesperson. A lot of states, they call them salesperson. The TREC and the state of Texas, they just go back and forth between these two terms, salesperson or sales agent. It doesn't matter. Is your first license basically in this field, real estate agent, whatever you want to call it. Now, if we talk about the exam itself, now the Texas real estate exam is not like the California, where you just take one exam and everything is in there. You're actually taking an exam that has two portions, a national part and a state part. Now, they don't really say in the information that they give the students and people out there that I've seen in the handbooks and all that, they don't really say that this point, which is very important. You cannot go in, it is my understanding and my experience that you cannot switch back and forth between the two. That means you start the national portion, which is 85 questions, and this is the time that you have 150 minutes to finish it. and then once you submit the national portion, you start the state portion. You cannot go back to the national portion. So that's the point that is very important. I don't know why they do not highlight that, because let's say I want to skip some question here. There are some questions that are wasting my time. They are, and think of it, you don't have really 2 minutes per question, because if you had 2 minutes per question, then your time here would be 170. So you have less than 2 minutes per question. Now, if you ran into a question that requires calculation, requires some kind of mathematic, or even questions that do not require mathematical calculation, but there are terms that you're not familiar with, because maybe you didn't sign up for our sponsor. Try to plug it in, because you didn't sign up for the practice test at the California Real Estate License School.com. So let's say you're not familiar with those terms and you want to skip that question. Well, you can skip it as far as going to the end of that national portion, but you're not going to be able to start the state portion and then go back and try to do that. So you're going to have to basically use the tips that I'm going to give you in this video to be able to handle yourself correctly and get a passing score. Now, the broker exam is very similar to the salesperson or sales agent exam. The difference is, well, it goes more in depth. The questions are a little bit longer as far as like the situations or things that they're described, but you can have you can be tested on the broker exam even on the principles of real estate or things that are really basic. So a lot of people taking the broker exam, they think that, oh, I don't need to know like what type of contract or implied or written or things that are really basic. I don't need to know their definition. Well, guess what? You're wrong, because anything that is related to the principles of real estate and the practice of real estate and contract laws and agencies, even the basic stuff can come up in the broker examination. And that's how they trick you. Sometimes the simplest concept can be very tricky because you are focused on the most complicated concept. So you need to know your definitions. You need to know the concept behind the definition, because they will try to trick you at the exam. So again, make sure you practice, and definitely sign up for our partner school, which is the California Real Estate License School.com. Plug number 2, shameless plug. And practice until you get familiar with these terms. Now let's go back to this the percentage of the score, because that's really important. Now what they do in Texas, and I'm sure they do that in a few other states, is that they sneak in some pre-test questions. Now, pre-test questions are not scored. They don't count, but they basically use you as red labs to test a few new concepts and gather like statistical information to be able to formulate and create the next maybe next year's test, or the concept that they still need trials and errors for it. They sneak those pre-tests into your actual test. So one place that you can find, as it says here, you can find the number of pretest questions in the content outline heading of each examination. But if there is not there, if a number is not present, then there are no pretest questions for that particular examination. So, but at the same time, this is a very tricky statement, because okay, let's say I know the number of let's say they put in like 5 or 10 or 15 pretest question. They will not tell you which one they are, and they will not tell you where in the examination. So that can be the first question, that can be the third question, that can be the 23rd question. I don't know. That can be the last question. They just kind of spread it and mix it, and you really don't even need to think of that. I think you should focus on answering every question that is thrown at you, because you don't know which one would be pretest or not. So the fact that you want to like focus on one, is gonna cost you a lot of time. So that is a little bit of a issue for people that are taking these tests, because let's say if a pretest question requires calculation or something that takes a lot of time, you're going to be wasting valuable time on that question you think is a scored question. You would think that is a question that would count, but you're just wasting your precious time trying to give like statistical information to the state of Texas, to the Real Estate Commission of Texas. So it's a good public service, but at that moment is costing you valuable time, because look, for the salesperson, you have 150 minutes for that first portion to finish this 85 questions. So you have less than 2 minutes. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds or less. Let's say if we have let's do a quick calculation. If I have 85 multiplied by, let's say 1 minute and 30 seconds would be 90 seconds. Okay, so multiply by 90 and then we'll divide it by 60 again to see how many minutes is that. So yeah, it's a little bit more. So yeah, so you have around, okay, so it's a 1 minute and 40 seconds. So that would be 100 minutes multiplied by 85. Okay, now divide that by 60. Let's see. Okay, so a little bit more than 1 minute and 40 seconds. So 1 minute and 50 seconds. Now 1 minute and 45. I'll try 1 minute and 45. So it would be 105 seconds multiplied by 85 divided by 60. Yeah, that's very close. So 1 minute and 45 seconds basically what you have to answer these questions. Now if you spend more time on them and then it ends up being a pretest question, you get screwed, my friend. You get screwed because you're wasting valuable time, and the time runs out and you're going to leave a lot of question unanswered. So you have to be careful. Now let's talk about percentage of pass, because 56 out of 85, you need to get that correct. For the broker is 60 out of 85. For the salesperson is 56 out of 85 question you need to get correct. Now if I say 85 is 100%, 56 would be how much of that percentage. So we're going to have to do a little calculation here. What I can do is to divide 56 by 85 and then multiply that by 100. Yeah, so it's a little bit, so you need to score on the national portion of the salesperson close to 66%, because if you round this to like 1, then this is not 65, it would become 66. So you need to score 66% correctly in order to get a pass score on the national portion. And on the state portion, you need to score, that's close to 50%. Let's see, 40, multiply that by 100. So yeah, it's like 52.5, 53%. That's your score rate. So the state portion is basically they're a little bit easier as far as the pass score goes. And then for the broker exam is of course is harder. 60 divided by 85. Yeah, that's close to 70% pass rate. And then for the state portion of the broker exam, it would be 30 divided by 50 multiplied by 100. Yeah, that's 60%. Oh, I got it wrong, but okay, it's 30 divided by 50. Yeah, that's basically 60%. There you go. So yeah, so this is close to like so you saw the percentages of pass. Now a trick that I can tell you is that you have to be careful with your timing, because as I said, you might be dealing with some math questions, but you're also going to be dealing with questions that do not count, and there is no way for you to know if they count or not. So you have to basically divide your time wisely and spread it wisely, and don't spend too much time on one question. So when you're tackling your first 85 question of national part of the salesperson, or your first 85 question of national part of the broker part, just skip the question that involves mathematical calculations. A question like this, we go here. We're gonna go over this question in a minute, but let's say question number 6 here. Okay, a broker is asked to lease 1,200 square feet of warehouse space at $6 per square foot. Oh my God, somebody is. I apologize. They're doing street sweeping in front of the office here, so just gonna let this thing go so I can be heard. All right, thank you very much. All right, so the broker, blah blah blah. A broker is asked to lease 1,200 square feet of warehouse space at $6 per square feet per year. If the broker's commission will be 8% of the first year's rental income, the maximum amount payable is. So I'm going to show you the calculation, but again, don't get involved immediately in these questions. Skip them and come back to this question at the end. You want to score first. Basically take the questions that you're familiar with. You know the answers of them, and you're familiar with the terms, because of course you signed up for the California Real Estate License School, the Texas Real Estate Exam Prep, plug number 3 or 4. I don't know where we're at, but I just been plugging this partner like crazy right now. But so because you're familiar with those concepts, and by the way, this preparation it really focuses on the definition, and they designed this preparation such a way that it just builds up your knowledge as you're taking this exam. So that's also really, really important, because you know, there are ways to create exam preps, but the guy at the California Real Estate License School.com, they built this such a way that would gradually increase your knowledge, gradually makes you familiar with the most important definitions and concepts and key terms to know. So now let's get back to this tip. So skip the math questions, skip the questions that you are dealing with terms that are very close to each other, you're not familiar with them. Skip those as well. You want to answer immediately as many questions as you can that are familiar, that they seem familiar, you already know before even finishing the question. You say, oh, I know this concept, I know, that's easy. Walk in the park is a piece of cake, I can answer that. So you want to get those out of the way right away. Why? Because the time is against you. Not only the time is against you, but you have freaking pretest question that the state was sneaking into this for their own interest, for their own goal of gathering information, gathering statistical information for future tests. But you, as a candidate, as an applicant, your goal is to pass this freaking exam. Your goal is not there to be a public servant. I mean, it's good to service the public and all that, but your main goal, your priority here is to score as high as you can. Basically, that's what I'm saying. So, a question like this that would involve a calculation like this. So you would, so basically, they want them to lease $6 per square feet per year. And the facility is 1,200 square feet. So you multiply 1,200 square feet by 6, and that gets you the total. Now be careful. Sometimes here they might say per month, but then the commission would be first year. So you want, if this was per month, then you would only be getting per month. So you're gonna have to multiply that by 12 to get the yearly. But right now in this question, they didn't try to trick you too much. So they put it per year. They give you the the asked lease price per year, and they're asking it also per year. Okay, so 8% of that first year in rental would be how much? Now they can sometimes also trick it and say, hey, what would be the 8% of the first 2 years? Then you're gonna have to multiply that by 2. Okay, but if it's giving you per year for 1 year and asking you for a year, then you just leave it as it is. But sometimes they might switch around, and this might be the first month, and this would be per year, or this would be per month, and this would require per year. So you got to be very careful with these things. Where is giving you the data, and where is requesting an answer, a calculation from you? Is it a month? Is it a day? Is it a yearly thing they're asking me? And what was the data that I was given with? So that's something that you always want to calculate. So now we have our ask lease for the whole year, and then we'll just have to calculate 8% of that, which is you multiply that by 0.08, and that would be your answer, 576, and 576 is here. Now again, let's go back to my tip. You want to skip these questions, go to the end of your 85 question or 40 question, whichever portion you are in, but don't submit. Okay, don't finish the exam. Know how much time. I think on the screen you will see a timer, you will see a clock on that computer screen, and you will know how much time you have left, and then you go back and then you divide your attention. I still really recommend to do the math one at the end. So if you skipped, let's say, question like this, let's say this question: in order for the tenant to claim relief for constructive eviction, the landlord must have intentionally with her required repairs or maintenance. Any defects must be deemed. So let's say a question like this, you don't know the answer. By the way, the answer of this one, I believe, is A, because the landlord didn't do the repairs, and the property is in like very messed up situation, messed up conditions, and the tenant has some legal reason to not want it to actually pay or get the hell out of there. So if this situation gets into a court, or some kind of notice has been given to the tenant, he or she can use the fact that the landlord didn't provide the required repairs, and hopefully the tenant has documented that with pictures and maybe copies of email back and forth or letters, and then prove that, hey, I'm a good tenant, but I also want value for my money. So this situation would be a legitimate situation. So basically, so let's say we were talking about a situation where you would not know. Okay, you would be in a situation where you don't know these terms are unfamiliar for you, so you skip that question, and then you also skip that math question, and then you answered all the other ones that you went to the end of your exam. But as I said, don't submit and go back. So when you go back, you want to still give priority to these ones. Okay, you want to do the ones that you want to take an educated guess. Okay, your best guess, most reasonable. Use common sense. Use process of elimination. I'll give you one last trick. Look at the last question or the last question before that one. So let's say this was question like 25. Look at the question 24, and maybe you already answered question 24 and it was an easy question that you answered. See what was the position of the answer. If the position of the answer was like C, usually people that they write tests, they try to change the position of the answer. So they're not gonna put the right answer always on the C position. Okay, they're gonna put this one C, this one B, A. They try to switch it. So if you have no idea of what to answer, and these terms are really close, and you don't know, and you need to answer one of them, then look at the previous question and see what was the position of the answer. Look at the next question and see what was the position of the answer. If you answer them, then you actually are eliminating two of them, because most likely again, is a matter of luck, but most likely the person who wrote this test has changed the position of the answers. And then you take the one that's really sound more reasonable to you, and you answer that and you move on. So you got to do that very quickly and move on. And then at the end, once you answer all the let's say terminology questions that you were not familiar with, then you tackle your math ones. Anything that has calculation, you want to really do it at the end of the end. Okay, so first you start, let's say your national portion, you go to the end of 85-1, you skip the math question, you skip the one that you don't know and you want to guess, you skip it. Don't guess on the spot. Don't do the math one. Just skip those and just answer the one that you're really sure you're really familiar with. You get to the last 85 question, don't submit. Go back and check your terminology, the hard terminology question that you're not familiar with, and try to answer those. Take an educated guess, use process of elimination like I told you, and answer those and move to the next one. Don't spend too much time on any of those. And then at the end, you do the one that requires calculation. Same goes for the state portion. You do the first 40, skip the math, skip the terminology you're not familiar with, come back and then do it. So the time is really important here. On this one, you actually have 2 minutes. You have a little bit more than 2 minutes per question. But again, you might have pretest questions, and they will not count in the score. So it's really important that you develop these skills. And also, it's really important for you to get familiar with the basically the key points, the key terms, the concepts, the definition, things that you need to focus on. So I definitely recommend the Texas Real Estate Exam Prep from the California Real Estate License School.com. You can go there and sign up. A lot of exam preps, especially the one like this that are mobile friendly. You can do it. You can do them on your phone, iPad. A lot of them are expensive, but these guys is like $29. It's really cheap, so it's not even that expensive. They're not going to charge you hundreds of dollars or $60 or $70. At this school, I believe is under $30. Is it's I think $29 the last time I checked. $29.95 or something like that. So it's affordable, it's precise, it gets you focused on really things that you need to know, so you're not studying like thousands of definitions that are useless. You really focus on things that you need to know for the national portion and also for the state portion. And that exam prep applies to both exams, for the salesperson and the broker exam. So check them out. Thanks for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you found this video useful, you know, if you think that these tips help you, or if you took the exam, definitely come back and drop a comment. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna stop this session, and this school is gonna also have soon exam prep material for all the other states. I know they are developing one for Florida right now, but right now the California and the state of Texas real estate exam preps are up and running, and a lot of students are using it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. I believe I'm signing out here, and good luck on your exam.